guess I'll stand here, get a hold of my fear and just ask you. So why does it hurt me when I love you? Why do I get weak in the knees when you walk in the room? Why does my heart skip a beat when your eyes are locked on me? And all I can do is wonder if you feel all these things too, the same way that I do. The same way that I do.
Next up, we're going to bring this revival theme full circle with our speaker today. His name is Nick Shuley. He's a veteran marketing and media executive. When I was talking to him earlier about this title that I gave him on the slide, I gave him this title, Music and Movement Maker. He's like, I do sports and music. That's what I do. So that's what Nick does. The sports part, he probably won't touch on, but he's got a cool podcast called Third and Longhorn, and he's done a lot for the NIL community to get it started to actually pay student athletes. So you can talk to him about that, of course, but and he also got started in cycling. So everybody who biked to work today, yeah, we can talk to him about cycling too. But the big deal that I talk to him about, and the reason he's here today to talk about revival and the intersection of revival and creativity is that he leads an organization called Austin Music Movement. He's also all ATX, Music Makes Austin, and he works with Gary Keller to put money into the community in ways that benefit music for this city. And he's going to talk a lot more about that, so I'm not going to steal his thunder. But he is an Austinite, trying to take everything that brought us all here to Austin and keep it alive. So here to tell us more about that and his thoughts on the intersection of creativity and revival, let's all welcome Nick Shuley.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Thank you guys so much. Thanks to Ben and Brian and all the volunteers and everyone. Like, I had no idea this existed until I was introduced to this community, and everybody's been so amazing. So thank you guys for, kind of accepting me and letting me come up here and talk a little bit. And thanks so much to Julie, if she's still here. That was awesome. Like, I really enjoyed that. So that being said, the best way to describe what I do, I always just tell people is music and sports. Music's definitely the lion's share of that, as Ben mentioned. So I am here to talk to you about Austin music and the Austin music scene. And do Austin and the music scene, or does Austin and the music scene need a revival? And Austin music and the city itself have always been there to kind of revive me and my life and my career. And there's a challenge is, does Austin need a revival of its soul, et cetera? Because I hear a lot of conflicting opinions. I am not an anti-growther, even though I grew up here. I love the growth. I grew up in a sleepy town called Austin, Texas, so it's changed a lot. But I always think about something someone told me once that said, hey, instead of hating on that huge building that's there, just think about if one person in that building changes your entire life. And it kind of is a nice way to kind of reframe that. So I will try to keep this on time. My grandpa always told me, don't talk for more than a minute or they'll know you're full of shit. So you guys are screwed. So apologies. So I'm going to take you guys through my personal story and connection to Austin music. And I'm going to take you through some of the challenges that we face as well as are addressing today. And then take you guys into kind of a new initiative that I've become a part of and I'm very excited to work with, which is the kind of revival of the Armadillo World Headquarters. And I'll explain what that is if people don't know. And I'm just excited to get into it. So let's go straight into it. So who am I? All right, I am the son of two hippies from Eastern Washington. And as you can see, I had to get this up here because my dad's hair in the front there is incredible. I do not I do not know, sorry, Dad, if you ever see this, I don't know how you landed my mom, but good job. So they grew up in Eastern Washington and moved here when my dad got a scholarship to Rice, and they had me at 3 months old, and so I was technically born in Houston, so I guess I'm technically not an Austinite. It depends on how hardcore you are about that, but everything I remember is this town. So let's get into it. I love this quote: "A musician can tell you about a place, but a great songwriter can take you there." And I think that's such a true statement. And so music has always been a part of my life, and these are the most random smattering of albums you will ever see on a screen, but I'm going to explain why these matter. So my first musical memory was seeing this album, a Billy Squier, Emotions in Motion record, sitting on my dad's record player. That was my first music memory. I can't say I've listened to Billy Squier a ton, although I was watching a baseball game last night and somebody played The Stroke when they walked up. So I kind of frame my life through all these musical moments, and they mean a lot to me. And I'll never forget when my dad played this on the stereo. He was so proud of this new stereo he'd gotten. And it was like my first core music memory of like, oh, this is pretty damn cool, you know? And fast forward, I remember at the time, I think I was 10 years old, seeing Joe Ely's live at Liberty Lunch record and not knowing who Joe Ely was or what Liberty Lunch was, and Liberty Lunch would go to shape a lot of my life, and so this album meant a lot to me. These are the actual things I saw there, because my dad was like, I don't need all this shit anymore, I got Spotify. So now I own all of them and have a whole junk collection of music. I don't have the Nirvana record with me because I wore that out, but I'll explain why that one's important. This I will never forget. I was in 5th grade, and this is Cypress Hill's debut cassette, and I was in the back of the bus. I remember exactly where I was, and Andy Cyrus had a Walkman, and he was like, dude, you got to listen to this. And I was listening to I think Garth Brooks or something at the time, you know, and he was like, dude, you got to hear this. And he put on Hand on the Pump, which if you've never heard about that, it's just about shooting people and a bunch of other stuff that was happening. Obviously not in Austin at the time, but it was happening in South Central LA, but it took me to another place, and it was something I'd never heard. And I remember at that moment, I was like, I love rap. And so I dug kind of deep into that world, and actually, it's shaped a lot of my life, but this meant so much to me, and this was the actual tape. And I remember specifically when I bought this, we went to Camelot Music in 5th grade, and my mom was with me. My mom is a daily Mass Catholic. And she walked up to the counter, handed them the tape, and the guy at the counter, the narc at the counter, said, ma'am, this has a parental advisory sticker on it. This one doesn't, because they used to put it on the record. And she goes, oh, thank you so much. She goes, I'll go ahead and I'll go raise my son, and you don't worry about that. So my mom was they were both badass and kind of let us, make decisions, etc. And fast forward to this album. It was July 21st, 1995. I had a buddy named Cody Symington, who was my basketball nemesis. I hated him. He and I just did not get along, and then we ended up going to the same school. Come to find out, Cody had the coolest taste in music, had a mom who sang in Hal Ketchum's band, and she took me and Cody to Liberty Lunch to see a show. And it was my first time seeing a concert where I just stopped and was because my dad had taken me to the Eagles and all that stuff, but this was different, right? I was in a venue, I was experiencing, and I'll never forget that moment when Fig Dish was on stage. By the way, they were the opening band. No one in the world cares about this band except me. I flew to Chicago to see their reunion show, and it was a sad event, but it was a great show. I realized how old I'd gotten, but I was there alone, and I had the best time ever. So anyways, but it was all these moments that came from Austin. I didn't put this one up there, but my mom loved Willie Nelson. So I always remember seeing this record up there too. But all that to do my best to try and qualify myself as to why I'm up here talking about music and Austin music. I don't consider my story more special than anyone. We all have that. Does anybody here like music? Better question. Does anybody here not like music? Damn it. I was hoping. I wanted to have a conversation about it. But yeah, exactly. Music's such a key part of all our lives, and we don't even notice it a lot of the time. So music's helped me through so much of my life, through breakups, deaths, heartbreak, joy, everything. We all have those songs that we associate with those moments. We all have those songs that numb us, that like, or that kind of take us into the happiness. And so Austin always gave me a blank canvas, and I fell so in love with music, like psychotically obsessed with music, and it just meant a lot to me. But I started going when I was a freshman in high school. I started going to Waterloo Records, and I would just love the place. It was the one place you could actually listen to music, and I would go in there all the time. Like, I'm no lie, like every single day I would hitch rides with people. I would I used to write papers in high school for everyone, and I would my payment was they had to buy me music or buy me a ticket to a concert. So like sorry to all my teachers if you're out there, I cheated. So anyways, but I would go in there, like once I got my license, I would go in there every day. And Waterloo had what was called a free bin at the time. And this was a seminal part of my career. I would take the free bin, go out to my 1987 Nissan Stanza with the oxidized hood, it was pretty dope, and toss it in my trunk, and then take it to the high school and pass out all the samplers to everybody, because I just love music and I wanted to help people experience that. So Waterloo noticed me coming in there all the time, taking all their free stuff, and they put a person on me to make sure I didn't steal from them. So I had no idea, mind you, and I love Waterloo, I would never steal from them, but, one second, sorry. So I would, one day I was in there, and the guy, Chip Crowley, thank God he came up to me, he said, "Hey man, just so you know, I run all the promotions here. If you ever need anything, you don't have to steal anything." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was like, "I would never steal from you guys." And he was like, "Well, what are you doing after high school?" And I was like, "Well, I'm going to UT, and I don't know." And he's like, "Well, I'm the the Virgin Records college rep, and we need to replace me because I'm graduating. Would you be interested in that?" And so like I got to know him. Basically, got into the music business just by being a junkie, and so and them helping me, and I ended up all through high school or all through college working for Virgin as well as Columbia. And at the time, Austin wasn't a big music market, right? We've always been a big music town, but we were very localized, and I'll explain that more later. But through all this, I started a record label in college, and ended up learning how to lose $20,000 as fast as I could and being broke the rest of college, but had a great time, learned a lot. And then I ended up touring as a DJ for a little while for a bunch of hip hop and Warped Tour artists. And I got to play Lollapalooza, which is that picture right there. So yeah, I consider myself pretty lucky. So then I ended up actually going to Infusion to work in an ad agency. My dream was to work at GSD&M, no lie. That was all I wanted to do, but I wasn't able to get a job here, and finally landed a Christmas internship, but then the person ended up staying here, so I never got to do it. But got hired by Infusion, and the guy who hired me, Josiah Sternfeld, and Jeff Neely are back there actually, so I appreciate them coming. Ended up getting a job at Capital of Sports Entertainment, which did all the music festivals, Lance Armstrong. Ended up going to C3, managing artists for Big Boy, Justin Timberlake, Lil Wayne. Started my own company, blah, 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 a bunch of sports, right? Okay. So, let's see. Oh, sorry. I guess I missed a slide in there. So, so let's get into Austin and the music scene. So people have been saying Austin was better when they first arrived since 1840. That's like the joke. And Austin was founded in 1839, for those of you that don't know that. So this is nothing new. Austin's always been, you guys know this, Austin's always been a place that embraced creativity, embraced the different. Like, the artists who succeed out of here are Stevie Ray Vaughan, who blues wasn't a big thing, but he came to a national success. Janis Joplin, and she didn't exactly get embraced by Austin, had to go to San Francisco to do it, but she cut her teeth here. She was very different. She was breaking things. Willie Nelson, Gary Clark Jr., Marcia Ball, Doug Somm, Spoon, all of these artists are so different from what the rest of the world puts out. And it's because of the landscape that this city created and the open attitude that everyone has here. These artists were allowed to find themselves. You had people trying to out-art each other, not trying to figure out how to make as much money as possible. And it was just this place where cheap rent, open arms, and the ability to grow happened. And like that was our town at the time. And that freedom created a lot of this ecosystem that is music in Austin. It is the live music capital of the world, all these things. And so without support, that ecosystem's at risk. To everyone in the outside world, they're like, Austin music is insane, right? Like it's 1.8 billion dollars of our economy in Austin. So it's such a big deal. But if you don't do anything to protect that as a city grows, the artists start to get pushed out. The buildings, the places we go see things, they're in trouble. And we witnessed this, if anybody has paid attention, in San Francisco, right? San Francisco was the creative hotbed in the 60s and 70s of America, and with musicians, et cetera, and all those artists, et cetera, got pushed out of town. These are some great quotes of people from San Francisco that says, I don't know anyone in San Francisco who's making a full-time living as an artist. In the Bay Area, you're so mired in the congestion and the costs. You guys can see the rest of them, but it's a real thing. If you don't protect your local music scene and what's going on, it's not going to be there. So what people fail to understand is Austin growing up here was always a localized music town. It was the place where the bands from here were bigger than the artists who would come through here, right? Like you would have Bruce Springsteen coming to watch Loose Diamonds because he was such a fan of Troy Campbell. You would have all these moments like that where people love Austin music and were such fans of it. And the local artists were bigger than the touring artists. Now we've grown as a city and the music industry is killing it, right? We've got C3, we got South by Southwest, we've got all these amazing things happening here. We got ACL Fest, we got all these things that are the commercial side of music, right? I talk to a lot of people all the time that say, oh man, I'm the biggest music fan. I saw 3 shows at the Moody Center last week and 1 show at Coda, or all these things. And that's great, but that's not supporting the localized side of what we're doing. These clubs, these musicians, these people that are really kind of shaped our town and continue to shape our town. So I think it's an important thing for people to understand. And when you see that the music industry is $1.8 billion of our economy, 18,000 jobs, and $40 million in tax revenue, it's not just an art, it's actually a thing that really is a key piece of our economy. So I want you guys to read this real quick, if you have 2 seconds. Read that. And then I want someone to like raise their hand and guess when this was written. You don't have to read the whole thing, but do you know who has a guess as to when this was written? Yeah, 1977 by Doug Somm, right? So Austin's growth, Austin's change, it's nothing new. Like we've been facing this for a long time. Doug Somm gave up on Austin because it was getting too commercial in the 70s. His head would probably explode nowadays, but it's just to say that it's not as, it's a perspective on things and understanding that. So I got partway through my career, I got approached by Gary Keller. I was running my own marketing company. I had no idea who he was. I remember seeing his name on like Keller Williams stuff, and this is so bad, but I thought, because I'd worked for the festivals for so long, most of the time really wealthy people would contact me and they were just trying to get VIP passes to the festival. So I thought this meeting was about getting VIP passes to a festival. So I sit down, meet this human who has this insane office full of music artifacts and all these things. And he sat there for 2 hours and we just talked. And he knew more about Austin music than I would have ever guessed. And he just told me, he just basically listened to me yap about Austin music. And he was like, well, this was an incredible lunch. I would like to do this tomorrow as well. And I was like, what is happening here? What are we doing here? And the next day, the same thing happened, and we just sat there and talked. And I'm like, is this dude just trying to be friends with me, or like what's happening here? And but at the end, he said, look, Nick, here's the deal. I helped grow this city. He has Keller Williams, which has 180,000 agents nationwide. Like, it's a huge place. He's like, I helped grow this city. Every business you think of here, like help grow this city. And we went to their websites, and every single business on their website, do you know what it had? A picture of someone playing a guitar or a picture of someone in a venue. And he said, and this is the problem, is that we all use it and none of us support it. And support can mean many different things. And I thought about it, and I was like, that's awesome. I think it's incredible. And he was like, well, what do you think about that? I said, man, I think it's great, but I think you're boiling the ocean, because I think we're far past affordability. There's no time left to do this, so good luck. And he was like, no. He's like, we're going to do this, and you're going to run it, and it's going to work. And I was like, man, I got a cool little gig. I appreciate it. I'm not, like, it felt like a lot to take on. And then he's a very relentless man. And that was exactly what he said. He was like, well, you're the person to do it, and you're going to do it, and we're going to succeed because I have the funds and I'm relentless. And so I was like, okay. But I mean, when you think about it, it's kind of made up, right? It's just a made up job. I was like, okay, I'll do marketing, but whatever. And so his first task for me was to go talk to everyone I knew in music for a year. That was my job for a year. It's ridiculous. And I got to meet amazing people. And he was like, I want you to bring them all in here. And so we would bring in one person at a time and just talk. And what we did was listen to people and find out what the problems were, what the great things were, how things worked, et cetera. And we met some incredible people and helped to get an understanding of what was actually going on in this town. And so through that, we put together kind of I would call it a 4-pronged effort to keep Austin a music town. We worked on, number one, how do you keep the musicians here? And that's foundational support, which we used, worked with, that sounded bad, Ham, Sims, Sonic Guild, some of the amazing organizations that support Austin music, to basically put money into artists' pockets and help alleviate some of those costs of living here so that they could afford to stay here. And we figure if we can alleviate your health care, we can alleviate all these things, it'll help keep you somewhat affordable here. We quickly realized that music had no presence at the city level, right? Music's reputation at the city level was, I'm gonna yell at the newspaper when something goes wrong and ruin your day at City Hall. And we were like, how do we show up at the adults table, to have these conversations? And so we found an amazing woman who's sitting in the front row right now, Rebecca Reynolds, who started the Music Venue Alliance. And she was a volunteer who had a full-time day job being a lawyer, but her job was she wanted to start an organization that protected music venues and made sure they could stay here. And so we quickly realized we need to support that. And she's done, I can't even go on about how much amazing stuff. She got a bill passed at the state level that separated bars and nightclubs from music venues so that the music venues can get an alcohol rebate from their tax they pay. Like, she's done some amazing things and had some amazing, she's a badass. And then we found Nakia and Pat, who had started the Austin, Texas Musicians Group, that had a group on Facebook that represented 5,000 people. And there were musicians in Austin and helped support them. And we just basically empowered Red River Cultural District and helped start EQ Austin for equity and diversity in the industry. And all we asked of these organizations was, you guys don't have to agree on everything, but show up and talk and work together, and then let's go lobby and help get the things done we need at the city level so that we can access funding. And we've had some amazing wins, like getting access to some of the hot tax for commercial music that helps keep venues here. And then for music business development, I think he's still here. Brendan Anthony is somewhere in here. Brendan was amazing, and we went out and he worked in the governor's office, and we worked to bring for-profit music business to Austin and help grow the infrastructure in the town. So we brought BMI in, all of these things to try to help create a music ecosystem. The last piece of the puzzle is housing, and we're still working on that. We've done some things, but obviously it's the most expensive out of all those, so it's a little tougher to tackle. But a lot of the idea of this Austin music movement was to reframe how we support and how we understand what's going on in music, because most people don't know there's a problem, right? And it's not readily apparent. That brings me to the next chapter, which is I met the great folks who took over the Armadillo World Headquarters brand, and I'm going to take you guys through why the Armadillo Headquarters was important and what it was. And I love this quote: the most important thing was that the Armadillo was a magnet for people to come from all over, because it was a safe place for people of the counterculture to congregate, listen to music, drink beer, smoke pot, do whatever without the fear of going to jail or being harassed, right? You want to know why this city is so accepting? You want to know why this city is so great? A lot of it came from this music venue, because it was the one place where everybody could go be themselves, and they were just like, shut up and listen to music and let's hang out. So I've always been really drawn to this place. It was the precursor to Liberty Lunch, which Liberty Lunch was what raised me. I wish I could have gone to this place. And if you look at this, if you know where the Whataburger is on Barton Springs and South First, right across the street, there's a big city building that used to be there. So it was this great music venue, but it wasn't just a music venue, and that's what's so cool about it. So I love this Willie Nelson quote: rednecks and hippies who had thought they were natural enemies began mixing without too much bloodshed. Love that. They discovered they both like good music. So this place was so much more than a venue, though, and that's why I just fell in love with all the stories and everything about it. This was the birthplace of the Cosmic Cowboy. It's where Willie and Waylon came together. It was the place where Willie couldn't succeed in Nashville because he didn't fit in their box. So he came back here, and people loved him. And it allowed him to be him. And he helped unite these hippies and the cowboys and everyone who came here. And calling this place a music venue is such an undersell. It was like a creative commune. There were people who basically lived there. You worked and you did your part there and gave back. It was a lot like, kind of like this organization, but they had a building and they would do a lot of cool stuff and cool drugs, etc. So, but it was always a safe haven for the weird and the hopeful. And all of this live music capital of the world, keep Austin weird. Like a lot of this was birthed in this great place. It was the first place, well, it wasn't the first place Willie played, but it was the first place Bruce Springsteen played, AC/DC played. There's, just incredible stuff happened in this place. Freddie King. The other cool part about this story is the Armadillo was so far ahead of its time. They were the agency of record for Lone Star Beer because they sold the most beer in Texas besides the Astrodome. Astrodome beat them, but still, like, it's pretty impressive. So they actually got hired on as the agency of record because they had so many creatives. It was such a cool place that they just got hired to do that. They captured a lot of it. There was the audio and the video. But the coolest parts, there's so many good stories. Like Frank Zappa would play and he'd stay after and help mop the floor because he felt like part of it. Jerry Garcia had heard legends about the shrimp enchiladas that the guacamole queen used to serve, and he had played a show across the street. Ends up coming over on Thanksgiving. They had the most random jam session that had like Phil Lesh and Jerry Garcia and Doug Somm, and it was just like these amazing moments. So it's just a great place that captured Austin's spirit. So there's a really cool shots there of that was the first time Springsteen played is the first one. The middle one's Frank Zappa with an armadillo. I can't tell. It doesn't look like it's real, but I don't know. And then the part I'm about to get to, the man on the far side, you may not recognize, but that's Jim Franklin, who basically brought the armadillo to the level it was. He was an artist, but he was also a visual artist who had opened for a lot of them. It was just a cool, funky place. So this is a quote from Jim Franklin about armadillos, and I just love it because it represents who these people were, right? It was such a good representation and mascot for this place. And if you look here, some of the art of the armadillo, these don't even do it justice. There's the Springsteen poster, Graham Parsons, Willie Nelson, and Michael Martin Murphy. And the cool part about it was they wouldn't give the artists, there was this huge art squad there, and that was another big piece of it. And they wouldn't give the artists any direction. They'd be like, yo, Bruce Springsteen's playing next week, so can you make a poster? And they just kind of let them go crazy, and it created all these amazing things. So all the effort we had, Gary does an incredible job. He's helped with so much. He does so much, but the best part about him is he doesn't talk about himself. Like, he just does things and doesn't want the publicity, doesn't want anything. I've watched that guy he raised $35 million for the flood victims in Houston. He's done all these things and refuses press. And so I'm here to help tell some of that story. But all that to be said, we'd been doing what we were doing for 9 years. And a lot of people didn't know that it was going on just because we didn't talk about it. And I met up with the great folks who took over this Armadillo brand. And we all got together and decided, hey, we've all got great things going on, but what better brand to help unite the music and arts community than the brand that originally did that? And so we're working on relaunching this as a purpose-driven brand. We did a little pop-up, if anyone got to see it, from September to December. We supported a lot of music, supported a lot of artists, had a lot of great things going on. And it was kind of to announce ourselves as back. And we have a big goal of, we want the armadillo to be the symbol of giving back to the music and arts community, right? And so you're going to be seeing a lot of stuff coming up. But we think it's important to protect that creative legacy of Austin and to help keep a lot of what makes Austin, Austin. And so we want that symbol to just be everywhere. And we want it to be ubiquitous, that when you see it, you're like, oh, that person, cares about the music and the arts. And so we kind of partnered up the Austin music movement with the Armadillo. We're going to be launching Armadillo Gives, which will be the charitable side. The coolest part is the couple who ended up buying the Armadillo brand, they helped launch this space. And when we were talking about launching the space, the gentleman said, hey, we were on a call, and I feel really bad because I said a bad word to him, but I said, or they were arguing over how much of the profits were going to go to music and on the thing. And I was like, oh, it's they're going to say 10 or 20% and the thing's never going to make any money. And so it'll be cool and all, but and like they won't really do anything. And they were all kind of talking about what they were going to give. And Bill steps in and he goes, well, why don't we just give 100%? And I was like, oh yeah, well, 100% of the net, cool, still nothing. And then he was like, no, 100% of the gross from this place, I want it to go to musicians and artists in Austin. And my response was, are you kidding me? And I felt really bad because he's like a really sweet, nice man. We spent, I mean, the amount of money that went in there and went out, like it's incredible. And he gave 100% of it to Austin artists and music. And so, yeah, thank you. And I hear it all the time of, oh, these new transplants don't understand why this place is so great, or they're not contributing, or they're not this. And my kind of challenge to them is, what city do you go into and say, hey, Chicago, why are you this way? You don't, right? Like, we don't do that exercise. And so I think part of what this brand can be is help tell that story, create that connective thread, and help make people understand why we are who we are and can continue to keep that soul. And so I think the revival of this Armadillo brand is really key for the future of the music community as well as the arts community, because if these people leave, if you people leave, if this part of the culture leaves, you end up with a soulless city, and we're not there yet. And I know a lot of people think that, I hear a lot of people say, oh, Austin's changed, just a bunch of Californians, and it's like it hasn't though. Like, when you look at this, there's still, I've never felt more supported walking in here. I didn't know any of you, and everyone's been so friendly to me, and that's Austin to me, and that's the Austin that raised me. And I was a little music rat that somehow is still working in music, talking here because of that love for music in this landscape in this accepting city. So we're going to be doing a lot of amazing things coming up. There's going to be some events. We also have a documentary coming out about Jim Franklin, which is going to be incredible. If you don't know anything about Jim Franklin, go do your homework, because he is one of the coolest, most dynamic human beings you will ever hear about. The documentary is going to be badass. Yeah, I talked a little bit about that. But that whole live music capital of the world, to keep Austin weird, that all came from the Armadillo. Not those sayings, but a lot of what we love, that came from that. That's a little picture of our pop-up that was on South Congress right there. The first chance to get out and see this, we have an event June 6th at Central Machine Works from 6 to 10 p.m. It's going to be a really cool event. We will have a fortune-telling armadillo there as well. So, come with whatever you need to know for the future. And so my challenge is, if any artists out there, any musicians out there, come talk to us. Come tell us you want to be a part of this, because we need you. Like, this isn't, my favorite thing Gary ever said was, he said, stop telling people what they want and start asking them. And I think that's the key, is we want to shape this with you, because this is our place, and Austin has always been our place. It doesn't matter when you got here, you're an Austinite. So in my opinion, Austin music's worth saving, and I think it does need a little bit of a reviving, and I just think it's more of a concentration on going out to the places that made this place great, going out to these, Continental clubs, Saxon pubs, and, White Horse, Sagebrush, whatever it is, wherever it is your place is, go support that, because these things can't exist without our support. And I hate the game of, oh man, it sucks that place is closing. And you're like, well, when was the last time you went there? Oh, 3 years ago, it was badass. And you're like, well, that's the reason it's closing. So go out, get out, support, please, because that's what makes this place great. And I love this quote: today and tomorrow are a hell of a lot more important than yesterday. And we can't be a nostalgia city. We can't be a nostalgia brand. It's got to look to the future and figure out how we can change things and keep Austin here. So I think that's my time. But thank you guys so much for listening to me.